kids. It's your old pal Plazzy the Plasma Deity, formerly known as Squatty the Squatter Man. And I'm back again to let y'all in on a little known secret of the Milky Way. Now this is our solar system. The Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, watch out for the Klingons around Uranus, and Neptune. Now, modern academia tells us that the solar system is all messed up. Mercury is too small of a planet to be so close to the Sun. Venus, why, it spins backwards. Of course, everybody knows that we here on Earth are on a 23.5-degree tilt. Now, let's take a look at Uranus. Uranus is tilted by a whopping 98 degrees. Ouch! And why does Neptune spin on its side, tilted 30 degrees to the Sun's orbit? Well, there was a colleague of Einstein's, an Israeli scientist named Emanuel Velikovsky, a very smart man who once suggested in the 1950s that our planets in ancient times were in a different order and much closer together. And then in the 1990s, along came a very smart man named David Talbot, and he made a documentary called Symbols of an Alien Sky, whereupon he suggested that it was the Earth, Mars, Venus, and Saturn that was the alternate planetary alignment. And for primitive man and early hominids, this is what it would have looked like from Earth. And this planetary alignment with the planets so close would have created a plasma discharge in between the planets that would have looked a little something like this. Me, my handsome self, Plazzy the Plasma Deity, here I am. And David Talbot, he went about looking and he found this image of me all over the world. They just couldn't stop drawing me. I guess my handsome self was too hard to resist. Anyway, here to explain the rest, is that weird guy, Steve. I mean, he really is weird. I mean, you guys don't even know. I've secretly filmed him doing some Silence of the Lambs stuff. Look for yourself.
Shake that ass, mommy. Shake that ass, mommy. Shake that ass, mommy. Okay, let's go.
What the actual... I guess old Plazzy won't be needing his eyeballs anymore, folks. Anyway, here he is, somebody who's definitely not weird at all. It's Steve. Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Steve. This is Atlantis Confirmed. Don't be put off by my new friend here on my left, over my left shoulder. All that it is ancient fertility symbols that were demonized. So I'm reclaiming them in worship of the sacred feminine. The goat head is the uterus shape. The upside down cross is, you just put a circle on the top. You have the feminine symbol. The infinity is a phi, and the whole thing is a Berkram current. I believe it's the plasma deity, but it's also an electrical field known as a Birkeland current, I believe, and the tetragrammaton going around. Okay, so don't be put off by it. This was demonized. It's not demons. It's fertility symbols. Okay, so let's get started. My thesis today is the top 10 identical points between the Narmer palette from earliest of ancient Egypt, the first kingdom, actually pre-dynastic even. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and give this the full screen treatment here. There we go. How much is that? Okay, so let's do this. So the Narmer palette is from 3200 BCE, quite old. The Paracas, Peru, Paracas people are from the Nazca lines. They are 800 BCE.
Okay, so let's go through. I put letters, even though I'm doing a top 10, but let's just start there. A, the figure, and I realize I could have put just that there's a male, there's just a figure, a central figure in this position as the first likeness, but let's put that. So there's top 11. Here's the top 10. He's holding a head. The figure is holding a head. And not just holding a head, but he's not holding it above his head, he's not holding behind him, it's not on the ground, it's in the same place to his hip. He's holding a head, he's holding, it looks like a misinterpretation of a Graham Hancock man bag that became a shrunken head. And the Paracas were not warlike, these were the shrunken heads of their ancestors that they kept with them and put on their shelves in their homes. So that's A, but that's a very important first point. How many statues and likenesses are both holding a creature by the head? B, the feet are planted the same way. There's no perspective, just to the right. No perspective, to the right. Now I'm going to show later, I actually believe that this is another misinterpretation, that these were supposed to be the feet, and this is the line where the feet are here, and these figures, these ancient figures under here, underneath, not on the bottom, became the weird monkey feet through misinterpretation. I think because of where it lines up. I think these pleats in the that explains the pleats in the when we see the ancient Mesoamerican costumes, why they had these sort of chaps or second pants that stopped right there, because it's a misinterpretation. This symbolism evolving, as I'm going to continue to demonstrate. C, we have the pointy cone head, the pharaonic crown of Narmer. Here we have, if we stipulate that these are two figures, this would be where the head is. It looks like if you take it as a silhouette, here's the fish head, so it became like a fish head, or you could even take this upside down head right here as the top part. But silhouette wise, we are looking at the same thing. It's the fish head with a knob on the top of it. That's C. D. On the far left, we have a figure with a small head. On the left here, we have Tohu and Tikkun, Chaos and Order. They became the comedy and tragedy masks. If you're following my videos, you know who I'm talking about here. These are well established now, and I totally like retro. Reverse engineered all that. Remember when I thought it was just a face with a carve through it? Well, it's because eventually what happened was they stopped making two, and they cut the face in half and made both sides, one and the other, like Two-Face from Batman. So, okay, so let's move on. That becomes the C is C. D is the guy, the little face over here. And while I'm over here, I want to point something out to you. Here's the guy. Look what he is holding. I don't know if we've ever said this before. He's holding probably the earliest, because this goes back before all the stuff that we see from Sumer. This is really old. I'm going to show you. So this is 3200. This is pre-dynastic Egypt. And this is the clearest Graham Hancock man bag we have, and it is clearly a Kamandalu. It is a Kamandalu, and it has an ankh, not an ankh, a chai on it. So this is the water of life coming from the Kamandalu. He also has a chai on his chest with it, which is the Semitic symbol for life. The Egyptians did have Semitic rulers far later, like 1500 BC. This goes back 2,000 years before this. This is proving that the earliest Egyptians were Semitic people. This is this is not an ankh. This is a chai, and this is on the Narmer palette, and this goes back to 3200 BCE. I should have also brought up the cyanide tablet, because I think this is the Thoth character in the back, because he's holding this sort of writing tablet there. But let me just show you. So where did the Kamandalu come from? Where did the idea? We know that the Graham Hancock man bags are actually Kamandalu. Where did the Kamandalu come from? Well, here's what I figured. They were the side fears, because look, I have found, here's the Kamandalu. I have found this one and a couple of others where the side spheres are literally, the ancient petroglyphs are actually drawn as a Kamandalu. This was the ascetic holy man. That was this guy. There was a lightning streak or a plasma blast that went across and came down. It looked like two snakes at some point, or just the staff and the Kamandalu, and that is what they carry. There's the Indian ascetic, and that's where we see the Kamandalu and the staff, and these are after the Narmer palette. All those famous ones that we know, all these are long after. These are at least 1,000 years later. But here it is. There it is today, and his staff is here somewhere as well too. There it is in the back there. They're still carrying it today. It all originated with the plasma deity. There's the Kamandalu, and just like the figures have two lightning bolts or two snakes, there was a snake here, a snake here, but it was in flux. It was a lot of different images. But that's where it all comes from. That's the Graham Hancock man bag, is the sphere on the side of the plasma deity image. Okay, so before we let's go back and continue this real quick. Okay, so D and D. Now let's move on to E. There's a set of eyes. We actually have an ear and an eye, but where these two circles would be for the ear and the eye, there are two circles. You could just say, well, that's the face, however you want to say it, but technically that's a circle, and that's a circle, and that's a circle, and that's a circle. You see how they're getting reimagined as they're evolving. It's symbology being passed down over thousands of years. This is 800 BCE. This is 3200 BCE. So we're literally talking about 2,400 years of evolution for this to become this. Because at first phase it's like, well, I don't see it, but when we break it down, all right, let's move on. Here's F. F, we have these spiny, poofy things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like, consecutive, even, in a row. Here they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just a different interpretation of it. There, in the top right quadrant, there are spiny tendrils, just like these fans, They exist. Are they exact? No, but you're talking about different artistic interpretations of something they haven't seen before, or something that they're copying over thousands of years. So let's move on. G. G, we have what looks to be like a sphinx with some sort of leash or restraining device on its face. Well, here we have a with going into its mouth, right? Some leash going into its mouth. Well, here we have a leash going into the mouth of this thing. We have a long rope thing, and it's in the upper right quadrant again. Okay, so that's a match. H. H, we have, now here's what I want you to see also. Look at this as an artist's eye. Again, look at the, if you took the silhouette, and this is the cone, and it goes down, then this becomes the arm right here. It's all there. It's just interpreted differently as a different image. And when you go up this way, which would be right here, what they have is a mace head. They've turned into another Tohu and Tikkun face right there. So, but we have a mallet head, a round object in the top left. Do you see what I'm saying though? Like this goes all the way around because this is the Ouroboros. They interpreted this, which right here. This is the same arc right there, and this mace head would either be this one or this one. with this being the top of the cone head, and this being the mace head, or this being the hand, and that's the mace head probably. So the arm goes down here. We have the guy over here. The Kamandalu is this thing. So we have a head and a Kamandalu. We have a head and a Kamandalu. What I'm saying is match the silhouettes of the pieces. They've just been interpreted. The shape is the sacred thing. The rest is just what you do with it. So where are we? We are H, now I. Again, I. If you line them up like this becomes your foot area, and that would make these the feet. And then these down here, I almost wonder if someone saw an ancient version of that, and we're like, oh, he must have giant feet coming down like that, and so they made them the monkey feet going on the side. But these figures became the feet. Now J is where it gets really interesting, because J here in the Narmer palette, we have the Jesus fish, and I have a close-up of it here. Now apparently this is where we get his name, because this is Narmer. This is chisel was an R and the fish was a Narm, so it's supposedly his name, Narmer, like that. But look what's I want to show you. This is Paracas, both. This is the Paracas artwork, and this is the Paracas Nazca lines, which match. And show you. Apparently, when this was going on, this sometimes didn't connect. That's why it appears as two snakes sometimes. Apparently, it wasn't a complete circle sometimes, as what we get here. The arc did not continue all the time. It broke up occasionally. That's what we have witnessing here. Instead of a full arc, completed arc, the arc is severing. Once, when it was broke up at the top here, it appeared like this. You see the tendrils, or the spines, the feet, right there. We have a face. We have a face, the Tohu and Tikkun, the comedy and tragedy masks, and it looks like it has separated. Look, they've even shaped the arm differently. So this is within their own culture, in their own time. This is showing that they're willing to play. It's the silhouette that matters. As long as you stay within the silhouette, the silhouette is what's sacred. You can create other things with it. Okay, like you can take liberty as to, they were like, well, let's just make this the arm. So they made that the arm instead of the arm extending like that. So again, these are the same people, same culture. Modern academia says this. This is not me. So this broke off, and that's the origin of our Jesus fish, right there. And that is what we are seeing on top of the Narmer palette. There's the fish. There's the fish. All this came from is the arc going across that got separated. There was still plasma, the plasma thing at the top there that looked like that, but it became its own thing, disconnected. As I imagine, these look like the serpents coming down, and this became venerated as the fish that we see. I know all the rest of the Vesica Pisces and all that stuff, but this is a big thing to do with it. This is also a constellation. So Pisces. So let's move on. There's the Kamandalu. So look what the Kamandalu is here. You know, it's one of the it's Tohu and Tikkun, but this is where the thing would be. So the sphere on the side. So I also tied it back with this is an Ouroboros. This is an Ouroboros. The central figure. The central figure. We have another figure on the side, and we have a bird figure over here. Just as we do. You know, in the Sinai work, everywhere else. I tied it also, since he is wearing the fish costume on the back. He is a descendant of Atlantis from Sumeria, 1500 BC. It travels the world. It starts Sumerian, and this image ends up in Paracas. I don't know why no one's ever said this is. And the Aztec and the Maya have Quetzalcoatl and Viracocha. So I don't know who the ancient Paracas fish god was supposed to have been. But here we have him. Here we have a definitive transfer of information, transoceanic in pre-Columbian times, and that's Atlantis. I also now have connected it to the Narmer palette. This weird cone helmet is just another version of the pontiff hat, of the Dogon priest hat, the Oannes hat, of the fish god hat. It's just using the silhouette in a different manner. It's the same image. It's the plasma deity. They've just venerated it in different manners. No one's even admitted that this is the Ouroboros, which clearly is a serpent eating its own tail. So this is in King Tut's tomb, 1324 BCE. This is in 850 CBE. So we know there is contact across the ocean, at least going back as far as 800 BCE. I showed it further back even than that in my last video. And so here's what I think all this thing is. This is Native American Southwest, and this one is really important because I think this is again showing the plasma deity event. I think it's got the planetary alignment, and I see this often on both sides, and I don't understand what's going on with there, because why would they see two? Are there more planets going on? But with the two like this, it seems more likely there was a giant tree of life. Because you gotta remember, they're connecting to each other. It's like that game of, the string game, and you play with your fingers. They're creating plasma deities in between each other in the worlds. This very may have created a giant tree of life in the sky, because it's also connected to us down here. This was the one that is coming here that's connected to us. We're seeing multiple ones like back here and stuff, because we're getting multiple connections from distant planets. They're smaller and more fainter because those planets are farther away. This would be the one that was from Mars, because that's the one that's in the front. So look at the bird-like head. This is where all the bird imagery comes from. This is where all of the, at one point it looked like a bird. It was in flux, the head part looked like a bird. This is where all of the bird shaman stuff, the Rapa Nui bird shaman, this is where all of the veneration of the bird culture comes from. It's also where we get the Hopi ant people and stuff. It's the same thing. This is the tendrils. This was the fish over top, and it broke up further because it's in flux. But at one point, these two were together over top of it, and it created a fish type thing. And then here at one point, it was all completely connected. And then when it broke off, because it's dendritic plasma tendrils, and connected with this one instead, it appeared to be snakes on either side. This is what's happening over and over again. This is Enki now. This is going back 3,200 years earlier. It's the same image. This is from Mesopotamia. This is from the American Southwest. Did the image travel, or is it something that they are copying independently? Was the information lost and mistranslated due to just time and lack of? They don't have the internet. They don't have any kind of mass reproduction. It's just from memory. It's just from whatever they copied down or whatever worn image they're looking at. Did it get devolved to that, or was this their own version of what they saw? I tend to think it may be a little of both. The exact positioning and some of the other things that we've discussed before make it a transfer of information, and not particularly like the Hewat Heya. That is a Semitic. Those are Semitic consonants. That unless the plasma deity itself was making a sound that sounded like Hewat Heya, Hewat Heya, Hewat, as electricity does, it hums, that has to be evidence of a transfer of information. Okay, so, and then it's the same image here. So look at the, here he is, he's got the thing going across, the same position going, the arm extended out. This could be again, it's the silhouette. It's the silhouette you're looking at. This coming back over it, I believe, morphed into the Native American headdress. Look, here's a telltale sign. See the circle for the eye or the ear, as we saw. Whoops, sorry, that. It remained. thousands of years later, or over 1,000 years later, it's still there. There's the circle. There's the circle. All of these became feathers. All of these became feathers. This is Paracas. This is American Indian. This is just an AD. This is 1,000 years later. 1,000 years, this has become this. But look what stayed. Look what stayed. Okay, so we take then this guy and this guy, and it's the same. We have the conical. You take the silhouette. Here's the, as I was showing the other one. Here's the spines. Look, we've got the spines again. We've got the spines. Look, these are identical spines. This is Atlantis, Mesopotamia, 2500 BCE. This is Paracas, Peru, 800. This is what, 1700 years later across the ocean. This is a match. He's wearing a fish god costume. There is a spiny column next to him. There is a bird in the top right, just like we see in the Sinai. Oh, here it is. Look. There's Zoroastria, Ahura Mazda from Zoroastrianism is the god. It's Thoth. It's the bird figure in the top right. Here's the main central figure. Here's the snake going around. This snake, I should have included the whole thing, but it has feet. You can see the feet right here. There's the feet. There's the snake eating itself. The pointy hat. If you took the silhouette, it's the similar silhouette, and then these crazy little glyphs down here became the feet, and became these crazy little shaped guys over here, like that. So and then here's the real kicker. So this is, I think, the earliest. These are the earliest that we have. Where's my? Look at the similarity in positioning between. This is our 15,000-year-old. Let me go back. Let me go to this one first, because I found it even older. So I don't even want to give the wrong dates here. I think these are all the same. The bird shaman image. The bird shaman image is Thoth. The Lascaux Caves is the earliest version that we find of it. Here is a bird-headed man, which I think is it matches to our, there he is. This is our bird-headed man and his bird-headed staff, right there. That is what is being shown. This is 600 AD in the American Southwest, and this is 20,000 years ago in the Lascaux cave systems in France. There is a bird man, and there is his bird staff. There is a bird man, and there is his bird staff. It's a match. This really happened, folks. They really did see this in the sky. They really did travel the world and talk to each other about it. We are not the first. They got wiped out. The plasma blast that everybody think came from the sun or something like that. It came from the plasma deity event. This shows that it happened at least 20,000. We're back to 20,000 years ago now, and this is Australian cave art. We've seen this one before. It's the same thing, except the way it's coming out of his schwanza right there. His staff is coming out of his schwanza. Became just a schwanza right here with a separate. But this one combined it. But what this is, the bird man with the bird staff, is the same thing as American Southwest. It's the bird man with the bird staff, because there was influx, and at some point that's what it looked like. Then the earliest Thoth is 6,000 years ago. This is all the same thing. It's the bird shaman. It's Thoth. It's the Rapa Nui bird cult. It's the eagle cult. I think the Göbekli Tepe guy, as I was looking at it the other day, the one that looks formless, he's actually wearing a bird mask. I think Göbekli Tepe may have been the birth of the takeover of the bird cult that we used to talk about. The serpent cult began, and then the bird cult took over after the cataclysm. The only question now is, how many cataclysms were there? I'm for sure that my cataclysm happened, and it happened in 20,000. After 20,000, this is the first that we find Lascaux caves 20,000 years ago. Here we find the bovine. Remember I always talk about the central figure. There's the bird, and there's the bovine, and you have to remember they're in different places on the earth, so they're seeing it from different perspectives. Not everybody's going to have the same image, but what do I always say the elements are? The bird, the bovine, the Aries, the rams, and the figures. I've demonstrated how the plasma deity looked like a bird. There's even Egyptian characters where there's a bird on the head. They literally took it as there was a bird on the head of the guy, but it was all the plasma deity in flux. So I know that mine happened 20,000 years ago. Graham Hancock says his happened. So if mine's 20,000 years ago, that's 18,000 BCE. Graham Hancock's is 10,500 BCE. Did they both happen? Or did this happen? How long did this take? I think there's evidence, and I'm going to do a video about this based on that cyanide thing. I think that this lasted 6 days, and that's the 6 days of creation. I think the Lord said, "Let there be light." The image appears. The separating the heavens from the oceans. I believe that before we were knocked off our axis, the ocean, the streak of the Milky Way, it lined up with the ocean. So to look out across the sea, you look like you would go across the sea and right into the sky. When we got knocked off our axis in 23.5-degree tilt, it appeared to separate the heavens from the earth. I believe that is the story of creation. The 6 days of the plasma deity event that happened at least 20,000 years ago. This is the first evidence. This is the earliest evidence we find. So I am amazed that it lasted 2,500 years just by oral tradition, and just through talking about it at the campfire. It makes me wonder if it didn't last longer because we have sites like Kuyu where people are forced to live underground. So I wonder, you don't take under such an undertaking as a massive city that can hold 40,000 people underneath the earth without a lot of time and without a great necessity. That tells me that maybe it lasted longer. And all the scorch marks we find all over the earth, that's the damage. That's the damage. It's from these plasmides that were connected to the Squattermen and were shocking the shit out of our planet. Someone even suggested to me that the dolmens that we find may have actually been bomb shelters for people to run under. That may have been one of their purposes, and that's if we have underground cities as big as Kuyu, it really doesn't take much to imagine them taking effort just to pile up some rocks that you could dive under if there was a plasma blast storm that you had to get out, get some sort of protection from. So yeah, I think these are the same three guys. I think all of the bird shaman are when the plasmidia look like that. And here it is. I went ahead and drew it. This is Narmer. This is just, and you see how the negative space could create a beak right there if you wanted to look at it like that. This is how you get that shape. This is how you get this is your Kamandalu. This is, and you gotta think of it as a vibrant, fluxing, all over the place. I know my sound effect there just really helped you sell it, right? But this is not a static image that is just staying in one place. These are stuff is flying everywhere. It must have really been quite a show. Must have been utterly terrifying for them. But to have the presence of mind to write it all down, and it was entirely and so shocking. Here's also the bird, by the way. If I could take off, you see the owl face, the eyes, the beak. It's a giant owl face. You could be seen because this is what they're recreating with their bird masks. These are the eyes, and this is the thing. But here is how Narmer, and that's why they always have their legs so spread in those shots where they're like, they're recreating the plasma deity image. And that's it. There we go. So I think we're making a lot of progress, and we're moving really fast. 20,000 years ago now, we have the date for the earliest depiction of what I believe, what it means is that the plasma deity also invented art. that people started creating art, the figurines, everything that we find was because this thing left such an indelible impression on their minds. They drew it, and and they didn't have a pronounceable name for it, perhaps because it wasn't a word. It was the hum of the plasma, and that's why it became this secret, sacred word and such. So got lots more. Every time I go through my pictures, I'm like, what can I do with just one? And then it ends up, this was supposed to be just one photo. And you see where it ended up being 12 pictures and probably 45 minutes long. All right, my name is Steve, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Adelante.
Divina Navy.